Hey guys, hope you're well out there. Today I wanted to talk about my Fix-It pouch. This is a pouch I use for just general maintenance around the house. I have a toolbox and lots of other tools and stuff, but generally if it's just sort of small mends, then I tend to gravitate towards this pouch. First off, I'll say that generally if I'm doing stuff around the house, I also usually have this on my person. If I know I'm going to be fixing lots of stuff on the day, the Skeletool CX helps with a lot of different tasks. So it has the reinforced steel blade with 154 cm steel, super duper sharp. It has this bottle opener carabiner function, kind of handy, novelty. Has a nice pocket clip, really handy. And then we can open it up and you have your Leatherman pliers. These are a little bit smaller than some of the other sort of Leatherman pliers on the sort of big multi-tools. I do have another Leatherman in this pouch which I'll get into in a minute and sort of show you a comparison. This does have the screwdriver function though. I've used a different bit because this has a cross head and a slotted or flat head. I'll leave you guys debate what the right term is for that. I know a lot of people say different things about what it's called, but because I have the double-headed bit, I put that in this particular tool just to have more prying functionality with the flat head and that kind of stuff. It does kind of dig in your hand if you're using the pliers with the flat head, so I tend to keep that one in, sort of get sort of less issues. But a really great tool. You got your wire strippers, and then you have the added bit around the back here where I have a double-headed Phillips. That slots in there nicely. And then you have this bit on the end here, which I use a lot for prying. Obviously this is a bottle opener, you can attach it to a bout loop or whatever, but I also find this bit really handy. I've also seen mods, I think you can get them on Etsy or something, where people can screw a solid piece in here and it's sort of like a hammer piece, which is kind of neat. They're a little bit pricey, so I've not really gone for that, but maybe it's something I'll consider in the future. They look kind of cool, but it's sometimes handy just to have a hammer. I don't actually have any kind of hammering thing in this pouch, so if I tend to want to use a hammer, I'll just go under the stairs or into my garage and grab one of those, you know, proper hammer. But yeah, Skeletool CX, really great multi-tool. Another thing on the outside of this pouch is this. You may be familiar if you're in the EDC community with these. These are called a hero clip. Come in a variety of colours and sizes. This is the small one, there's a medium, and then there's a large. The small one's perfect for this. Essentially what you have is a standard carabiner here for if you want to attach this to a backpack or anything like that. But the main feature, it kind of goes like this, so you can attach it to here. And then if you want to suspend this, you can turn it around that way if you don't want that in the way. You can hang this from a ladder, or you know, if you're up high working, not that you would probably, because you'd want to open this without, and then the contents might fall out, but you know, if the ground's wet or dirty, you might not want to put your pouch on the ground and you're sort of out in the field somewhere. You can hang it on a gate or a fence or something like that and just kind of keep it out of harm's way. But just really handy to have. Carabiners in any kind of kit are always just super handy. But yeah, these are Hero Clip. Feel free to check them out. They are by no means an affiliate with my little channel. I just really like their stuff, and if I like products, I like to sort of shout them out. Yeah, the Hero Clip. Alright, then I have the actual pouch itself. This is made by a company called Lefright. Not quite left right, it's like left but without the T on Amazon. Lefright. I guess it's based on the Maxpedition mini style pouches. This is, however, is £10 on Amazon currently in the UK. probably about the same in the US if you can get it out there, which is less than half the price of the Maxpedition equivalents, which I have plenty of. Really great pouches, but I wanted to give this a try, sort of bang for buck sort of thing, and it's held out pretty well. The zips are pretty good quality, they're not YKK. I really like the pulleys, or the zip balls. They're not metal, so they don't jingle and jangle like some of them do on these sort of EDC pouches. Really cool. And then this patch, which I got from Tactree, can't remember what I ordered. I think it was actually the Skeletool, and it just came with this from their website for free. So we have this hook and loop system on the front, like most of the Maxpedition style pouches. Also have this mesh pocket, which, if you're familiar with those kinds of pouches, once these pouches are packed out, this mesh pocket at the front is fairly obsolete. You might have seen that I kind of use the pocket clip just to slide my Skeletool on. You might be able to put some paper or band-aids or plasters, whatever you call them, depending on where you live, in here. I kind of keep it just empty and have other stuff like that inside the pouch. Yeah, and then we have this grab handle. Around the back we have this Molly style system, which the Maxpedition pouches don't have. These are kind of, I think, solid. They might have the Molly thing, but I don't know if the smaller pouches actually have these. So if you're looking for something like that for your, bug out bag or whatever, then these Lefright pouches are pretty cool. Right, let's take the Skeletool off and take a little dive into the Fix-It pouch. So as you can see, it opens fairly well. No real issues there. Kind of catches around the corner of this lighter, but I've never really had any issues doing it up. I think if you overpack any of these pouches, they'll start to give you some issues, but this is fairly packed out, and never really had any issues. Never felt like the zip was gonna break on me. Never seen any sort of pulling between the zip or anything nasty like that. So overall, a good bang for buck product. Okay, diving in, you might see I have the Leatherman here. This is the original Leatherman, Leatherman Wave, not the Wave Plus. That was what I was going to say. I also have recently got the extendable bit driver, or ratchet driver. This is really cool. So you got your tightening function and loosening function, and where this dot is in the middle, if you put that on, it kind of locks it out. There's a tiny bit of give. People have criticised this sort of thing for not being super sturdy and a little bit wobbly, but to be honest, this thing's been a real game changer for me. Those little kind of things don't bother me so much. The overall build quality is okay. In fact, the overall build quality is great. The price isn't okay. It was about £30 in the UK. Could probably be a little bit cheaper for what it is. It's not made in the USA. I think it's made somewhere in Asia, maybe Taiwan or something. Not entirely sure. But it's something I'd definitely rather have in my kit than not at all. So fair play on Leatherman for putting this one out. Great addition to the kit. So I do have the Leatherman Wave, which I do use sometimes over my Skeletool CX. There's a little size comparison if you're interested in that kind of thing. They have different functions. This is my oldest multi-tool. It has a standard blade. It has a serrated blade, which is handy. It has a file, and it has a wood saw. Another reason why I keep that in this pouch for sort of small woodworking tasks. I've used this a lot for camping and expeditions and stuff over the years, so this is well travelled, and it was a little bit rusty until recently. I've given it a bit of a clean up, but you can tell it's just had a lot of use over the years. So really great multi-tool. Obviously it has these pliers, and I did say I was going to do a little comparison of size for you. As you can see, the Wave has a little bit more length on it, and a little bit thicker in the actual construction of the pliers, as well as the wire snippers being a bit more substantial. So another reason why I keep this in my kit, but it's also handy just to have a slightly smaller set. So yeah, great pair of pliers on these. Used them tons over the years. They aren't replaceable. I think maybe the Wave Plus has the replaceable bits. I know a lot of the Leatherman ones do now. But the original's cool. These haven't really worn out. I've used them a fair bit. But yeah, cool multi-tool. It's got some other tools. It's got a pointless ruler, which I've never really needed to use. Maybe if I needed to do the small measurement in centimetres or inches, I would. But I tend to gravitate towards a tape measure or something a bit more practical. Could be handy though. Looking at this side, we have this. I've currently got in something I use for knife maintenance, one of these little sort of star hexy type bits. The bit that was in the Skeletool, which I use more than any multi-tool probably now, is the dual bit from here, the crosshead and flathead slotted screwdriver. I swapped it out, but I do have the Leatherman Bit Kit here, which I'll get into in a sec. This also has the can opener. That's it for that side. And then this side, you have the Leatherman scissors. These tools are pretty hard to get out. You sort of nick your nails. Not that nice. Even with the sort of lubrication, they're still a bit stiff. And that's not just age. Like when I got this thing like 14 years ago or whatever, they were fairly stiff then. But it is what it is. I'd rather have these things and nick my nail than not have the tools that I need. But yeah, pretty good scissors. They're not up to Victorinox standards, but they're, you know, rather have these than no scissors at all. Then we have a large flathead or pry. I've used this a lot for paint cans. These lock out, and then you've got the button to release. So yeah, that's always been handy to have. What else we got here? Little screwdriver style screwdriver. This is a mini Phillips, and then you can flip it around and you've got a mini flathead slotted. And that does it for the tools on the Leatherman Wave, the original Leatherman Wave. I love that sound. Really cool tool. Very old, but you know, I'm sure there's a lot better ones. There's the 3P4, which I really like the look of. I might go for one of those one day. But as it stands, these two are my main Leatherman multi-tools. Then we have the Leatherman Bit Kit. I believe this is 22 bits. So you kind of got like 10 pieces on each section, and they're double-headed, including a spare little Phillips and, you know, your glasses one there. Basically everything I need there, and with this ratcheting ability, just a super versatile kit to have. On top of that, I keep a little microfiber cloth by Mr. Seeger. Great little company. I buy a 6-pack of these on Amazon. Can't remember how much they are. I think you get like 3 in blue and 3 in navy and 3 in cream. Mr. Seeger. Pretty neat quality microfibers. You get quite a few for the price. What I use this for, all kinds of stuff. If I'm on a hard surface and I don't want little screws rolling off, I just chuck this down and put them on, and just, you know, adds a bit of friction. I might use this for wiping stuff down after I've, you know, worked on something. I also have this. And I also use it for things like if I've been leaning against a window, I might clean the window off if I've got fingerprints or whatever on. So just handy to have a microfiber. And then this for slightly muckier work, it's just a slightly larger cloth with an elastic band, which could come in handy, who knows. But I keep them. They're, you know, always handy to have cloths when you're doing messy work. Then I have this. This is the i3T EOS by Olight. Little AAA style battery torch or flashlight. Pretty handy. I've got a couple of these. These have sort of just been downgraded into various pouches because, you know, they're not too bad. I used to EDC these a fair bit, but I've got sort of better alternatives. But it's handy just to have a backup. I'll usually have one on my person, but if you run out of batteries or whatever, it's handy to have an extra one. Or if you're working with someone else, you can chuck them. You know, lots of possibilities. These also have the double clip, so you can clip this onto the peak of your cap and use it as a head torch. if you're, you know, under a car or under a sink in a cupboard, whatever. I also keep a AAA battery as a backup in case the one in this goes, or for anything else you might be fixing or using. Little carpenter's pencil, which has been carved with the serrated blade on that. It's quite handy for getting the shaving down to a fine point. Always handy for marking stuff. I also have this Sharpie. This is the twin tip Sharpie. I've just discovered these. Absolute game changer, because you have your standard fine point Sharpie there for marking stuff, labelling stuff, and then you have your ultra fine tip, which is just like a standard pen but permanent. So if you've got a smaller surface area that you're writing on, that's really handy. I also EDC these in bags, just because then you basically got, you know, 2 in 1. It's just super handy. Obviously added some gaffer tape, which is handy for small little repairs or covering things up. So that's always handy to have. Back here I've got some various ties. These are hook and loop style. These are for sort of wrapping cables and things like that. But you can loosen them. So if it's just temporary or whatever, and you just want to quickly put something on, not necessarily waste plastic or whatever, these can be handy. Zip ties for obvious reasons, all kinds of reasons you can use these, and an elastic band, another one. Then I have these, again, very much debated, how do you pronounce it? Nipex. They're a German company, so possibly Nipex, or no, sorry, possibly Nipex, but I sometimes call them Nipex because when you nip something, it's like pinching or biting or whatever. So I kind of think of them as Nipex. I think it is Nipex though. These are, I'm not sure what size, they're one of the smallest ones you can get. Super adjustable. I've used these under my sink for tightening my taps when they've come loose, which is in a pretty confined space. I couldn't really get my Leatherman in there, not without, like, you know, there's not enough space to loosen my hand for the pliers, whereas these can get up at a certain angle that the Leathermans can't. So super handy to have these for loads of different reasons. Really great company, great build quality. Very popular in the EDC world. So you may have seen these, but get yourself some if you're after some for a small kit, because they're really handy. Okay, moving a bit more over to this side, have a little Stanley. This is the Fat Max 2 meter, not a substantial tape measure. I have this one I keep on my desk. I have a load of different tape measures all around my house in various toolboxes and stuff, so I'm never short of one. But if I just need one for a smallish measurement, I'll use this. I will say this one, which I got I think from a local store or shop, it is only in centimeters, not inches. It might be different in America, you might have both, or you might just have inches. I think this was about £5, so it'd probably be about $5 as well in the US. But just really handy, you know, short, small, compact tape measure that fits in this kit perfectly. Always handy. Then I have this, good old-fashioned super glue. I believe this was invented during Vietnam for sealing wounds quickly in firefights for soldiers, but obviously has since then been very much adopted by the rest of the world for general fixing and maintenance. Super handy, always to have super glue. Yeah, not much more to say about that. I've used this for repairing various toys of my daughters and things that are broken around the house, chipped and whatever. Always just handy. Little bit glider, also handy if you're using paracord, which I haven't got in this kit. Sometimes you have like shrink tubes, or a mate that's a smoker and has forgot his cigarette. I put a zip tie around this so that it can be accidentally pressed and waste the gas, and it's nice compact size. Also got a little Ranger band. This is essentially a again, these were sort of Vietnam era style bands. They're basically inner tubes. You get them in various sizes on Amazon, but they're basically just inner tubes from bikes or tyres, tyre inner tubes. So you can snip them up, and they're super handy, very strong. Soldiers used to use them for covering reflective things on their, on their outer body, and for attaching things together. But yeah, you can do that too. So yeah, Ranger bands, super handy. I keep a little one around here. I think there may be more in there in a minute, which I'll dive into. Bic, good little lighters. Electrical tape. Again, probably don't need to explain why I carry this. Always handy. But I will say, I'm a musician, and quite often a lot of people carry black tape, and it can be better if you carry something of a lighter colour, because if you're labelling with, say, a Sharpie, it's easier to write on and to read. If you've got dark blue, even if you're in a dark space, it can be difficult to see. So go for like yellows or greens. Red can be alright as well. But just handy if you want to label something. If you're dewiring lots of stuff and you don't know where something goes, you can number them up. So that can be really handy. You may want black one aesthetically if you're working in a dark space and covering dark stuff up and just want to patch. But generally, if given the choice, I'd choose a lighter colour for that purpose. Then I have some sort of basic little first aid bits as well. I usually have a first aid kit in my house to start with, and then I also have one in my car. So if I'm out and something happens, I'll probably gravitate towards that. But just in case you get a little cut, I've got a little elastoplast plaster or band-aid, and then some cleansing wipes. Again, I'll carry a couple of these because you can just use them for cleaning up generally. Always handy. In this little Ziploc bag, I just have loads of little odds and ends which may come in handy. A couple of little nails. Again, I don't carry a hammer, but sometimes it saves having to go out and try and find loads of them. If I just got to grab a hammer, and then I got a couple of different size nails, that can be handy. Got a wall plug or wall plugs, and a assortment of little screws and washers. A couple of elastic bands, some slightly larger Ranger bands. It's not perfect, not ideal, but again, if I'm in my house, generally I've always got stuff at hand. But if I just need something quick, then that can be handy to have. And then finally, in the back here, I have these, which I've only recently sort of discovered, dude wipes. They're basically just large wet wipes, really handy to have in individual packets. Again, I have a daughter, so we have wet wipes at hand, but if I'm, say, outside in the garden, it just saves, got muddy boots on and I'm working on something, just pull one of these out and clean my hands or face or whatever up. And all is good with the world. It says flushable wipe, but obviously, they're just wet wipes. They're super duper versatile for lots and lots of things. So yeah, that just about does it. Those go back in there. Don't think I've missed anything. Have a quick feel around, but no, I think that just about does it. Hope you liked this Fix It Pouch video. If you have, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon if you wish to be notified when more videos go up. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves.